You need to understand something most men never will. Validation is not kindness. It is chemical leverage. A woman's brain is wired to crave it not occasionally, but relentlessly. Every compliment, every glance of admiration, and every message that affirms her worth triggers a dopamine release almost identical to the effects of a drug. Not a metaphor. This is neurobiology. But here's what no one teaches you. Like any drug, validation loses its power the moment it becomes predictable. You praise her constantly. Her mind adjusts. Her thrill fades. Her tolerance builds. What once lit her up now dulls her senses. You believe approval will bring her closer. It will not. It will make you invisible. The men who understand this do not chase. They calibrate because they know scarcity breeds desire. Consistency breeds contempt. When you withhold validation, her mind shifts into search mode. She starts to chase, not because you played games, but because you introduced the one stimulus her nervous system is. Designed to respond to uncertainty, think of validation like a bank account. Most men overfund it, complimenting her over and over, hoping for affection in return. They make deposits like beggars, which is a fatal mistake. The high-value man lets the balance rise and fall, just enough to keep her engaged, but never enough to make her feel secure. That is the 70-30 rule. 70% of the time you offer approval, presence, and connection. But the other 30% you withdraw. You return to your world not out of coldness, not out of disrespect, but because you are not there to be consumed. You look incredible tonight. Make it specific. Make it real. Let her feel it was earned. You always look good is not desire. It is background noise. Do not repeat the flattery every man offers. That does not move her. Instead, praise her mind when it cuts through the noise. Praise her originality when she creates something meaningful. Praise her strength when she makes the hard choice. These are the validations that hit her core because they affirm the self, not the surface. Machiavelli understood this long before psychology had a name for it. Power is not giving everything. It is giving selectively. Validation is leverage. Spend it like an investor, not like a gambler throwing his last coin into the dark. But be careful. There is a thin line between mystery and emotional neglect. Too much distance, and she grows cold. Too much attention, and she loses interest. The mastery lies in the rhythm. Feed her, but never fill her. Let her feel your presence, but never own it. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. If this cut deep, it is because you were ready to hear it. Most men will never reach this level of awareness. They will keep chasing illusions, but you will not if you choose otherwise. Subscribe, because what comes next dismantles an even darker illusion. The second emotional gap is more dangerous than validation. It is connected to what every woman says she desires, but silently kills her attraction the moment she receives it. Stay sharp. You're about to uncover the truth most men were never allowed to see: her addiction to uncertainty. Emotional gap number 2, her addiction to uncertainty. This is the trap that breaks most men, and they walk into it smiling. They believe security is the answer. Certainty, consistency. They give everything. They respond instantly. They plan every moment, and then wonder why she disappears. What she says she wants kills her desire the moment she receives it. She asks for safety. She speaks of stability, but her nervous system is wired for something else: the unknown. It is not kindness that excites her. It is tension. It is unpredictability. It is the moment she cannot predict, and the version of you she cannot control. Certainty dulls her hunger. Predictability numbs her body. Security, when handed freely, does not soothe her. It bores her. You have seen it. The man who answers to fast, the one who gives her all his time, the one who maps out their future and holds nothing back. She does not feel safe. She feels nothing. Total clarity is the death of seduction. There is a name for this: the Zejic effect. The mind becomes obsessed with what is unresolved, with questions that were never answered, with stories that never finished. Women are no exception. When she can read every part of you, when she knows what you will say before you say it, her mind goes still. And a still mind is a bored one. The most attractive men never explain everything. They do not narrate their lives. They live them. They reveal just enough, never more. Their lives are not open books. They are encrypted chapters. You do not hand her the story. You make her chase the plot, 70% shown, 30% hidden. That is not deception. That is discipline. When she asks about your past, you give her fragments. Let her imagination do the rest. When she asks about your future, you share the vision, never the map. Power is not in what you show, it is in what you withhold. A prince who reveals every intention loses his throne before the war begins. A man who can be decoded becomes irrelevant. Mystery is not a tactic, it is a consequence. You are building something real. You are not here to impress her. You are here to move forward, with or without her. If you are fabricating stories or engineering drama, you are not mysterious. You are weak. The man she cannot solve is not pretending. He is building, he is unavailable for inspection because he is occupied with his mission. She asks what you did today. You say, I had a meeting that might change a few things. Then you move on. No explanation, no follow-up. Now her mind ignites. What meeting? What things? What is changing? She becomes her own question, and you are the answer she cannot touch. This is not a game. This is biology. You give her attention, not trivia. You share the direction, not the route. You speak in edges, not outlines. She is not reading your diary. She is decoding a presence. But mystery means nothing if it is hollow. There must be weight behind the silence. There must be truth beneath the shadows. You do not pour the water. You offer the sip. Then you walk away. One drop answers one question and leaves 5 more to be chased. You have 90 days, not to impress her, but to prove that your silence carries substance, that the unknown leads somewhere. If you fail, mystery becomes annoyance. If you succeed, it becomes obsession. She starts to think about you when you are not around. She replays your words in silence. She questions herself. She searches for you in every quiet room. That is the reversal. She is no longer the one being pursued. She becomes the one who seeks. You do not chase. You do not explain. You do not plead. You remain the question that haunts her peace, and you never had to raise your voice. The power of female competition, emotional gap number 3. The power of female competition. This one cuts the deepest, not because it is rare, but because it is ancient and denied. This is the 3rd emotional gap. The one that turns passive interest into burning obsession. The one women never speak of, but every instinct in their body responds to. She will never admit it, but nothing triggers her attraction more than seeing other women desire you. You are not just wanted. You are validated. This is not love. It is biological warfare. Her nervous system registers status through competition. Watch carefully. One glance from another woman, one laugh that is not hers, one moment of attention not given to her hand, everything shifts. The man who is just a friend suddenly becomes a man worth conquering. Her brain flips a switch. If other women want him, there must be something in him worth having. Thousands of years of programming have taught her to chase what others chase. It rewards the man already chosen. You think this is modern. It is not. This is pre-language instinct. This is mating psychology. This is the jungle disguised in civilization. When a man is scarce, when he is not accessible to everyone, her brain assigns value. It is not arrogance. It is not a game. It is the raw signal of abundance. He has options, and he chose me. That sentence echoes in her subconscious and keeps her tethered. Machiavelli understood it well. A prince with only one alliance is vulnerable. A prince, courted by many, holds leverage. The same principle applies to women. The man who is respected by many but committed to few is the man who commands loyalty without begging for it. This is not about flirting or making her jealous. That is amateur work. This is about being a man whose presence draws attention without trying, because his life is interesting. His vision is clear, and his movement generates respect. In social settings, you do not chase. You are approached. Women feel safe talking to you. They ask for your thoughts. They laugh without filter. And she watches. She studies how others orbit around you. She registers every signal and calculates her position. You do not brag. You do not exaggerate. You let the room speak for you. You are courteous, never crude. Charming, but contained. You show her this. You are the kind of man women gravitate toward, but you chose her. Not because you had no choice, but because from all the options, she was the one worth stopping for. That difference is everything. When she feels she could lose you, when she senses that your attention is not guaranteed, a chemical shift occurs. Her nervous system moves from satisfaction to pursuit. She begins to invest to try to anchor you in ways she never needed to before. You did not demand it. You did not ask. You simply positioned yourself beyond reach and allowed her instincts to do the rest. Retention is not requested. It is triggered, but this emotional gap cuts both ways. Use it without precision, and it will destroy the very connection you built. Push too far. Make her feel like she is constantly competing, always trying to earn your gaze. And you do not create desire. You create damage. She becomes anxious, defensive, paranoid. You become the threat, not the mystery. Pull back too much. Become too available, too predictable, too easy to reach, and her interest will evaporate. She stops imagining you with other women. She stops valuing your attention. She begins to see you as ordinary. The balance is not emotional. It is strategic. She should feel it just enough that you have options, that you are desired, that others notice you. And yet, you chose her? Not because you are playing a game, not because you are trying to provoke jealousy, but because your life by itself pulls people in. You do not treat her badly. You do not provoke. You simply keep moving forward, building something real, living with direction. And that alone makes her realize you could be anywhere, but you chose to be here. And that is what makes her stay. Imagine this now. Imagine this. You are at a social gathering. A woman approaches, asks you something. You do not freeze. You do not ignore her to prove loyalty. You do not flirt to make your partner jealous. You respond calmly, naturally, like a man who knows who he is and does not need to prove it. You are accessible, but not eager, charismatic, but not performative, and she is watching not what you say, but how others respond to you. The comfort, the laughter, the ease with which you move through the room. That observation alone changes everything, because now she is not evaluating you in isolation. She's measuring you through the eyes of other women. Another moment, she opens up. Tells you something personal, a problem, a stress, a fear. You listen, you support, but you do not become her therapist. You do not make her emotions your home. You do not abandon your priorities to become her emotional cushion. You hear her without losing yourself, because the moment she senses that you are no longer centered, you stop being her anchor and start becoming her outlet. You are not a free emotional service. You are a man with presence, with purpose, who chooses when and how to give it. Because the moment she senses that you are no longer centered, you stop being her anchor and start becoming her outlet. You are not a free emotional service. You are a man with presence, with purpose, who chooses when and how to give it. 3 emotional gaps, 3 emotional gaps. 3 levers of psychological gravity. Validation, addiction. The high she cannot quit. Uncertainty, the fire she cannot predict. Competition, the instinct she cannot suppress. Each one reshapes her perception. Each one determines how she pursues, invests, and attaches. You are not manipulating, you are understanding. And that alone separates you from the masses. Now, we go deeper. The last 2 emotional gaps are not for everyone. Most men never reach them, not because they are hidden, but because they demand precision. These are not tricks. They are structural truths. They do not generate attraction. They forge obsession. This is the line that separates the ordinary from the initiated. The ones who chase approval from the ones who understand how the female psyche is wired. The 4th gap touches something every woman craves, but almost no man knows how to give. And the 5th is what binds her soul first. Master these, and you will never see women the same way again. You will not react to them. You will read them, and she will feel it without you saying a word. Emotional leadership, emotional gap number 4, emotional leadership. This is where most men fail, not because they are weak, but because they do not understand what strength actually looks like. She does not need a savior. She needs a center. Someone solid, someone calm, someone who does not tremble when she does. Her storms are not a request for rescue. They are a test, not of solutions, but of stability. Machiavelli understood this. Power is not about control. It is about composure. The man who remains steady while others unravel commands silent authority. Women respond to that man because his emotional state is unaffected by hers. She comes home frustrated. You remain still. She worries. You see clearly, not because you are detached, but because someone must be the ground beneath the chaos. Most men mirror her stress, She spirals, and they spiral with her. They panic. They rush to fix what was never asked to be fixed. They react. They do not lead. Leadership is not loud. It is quiet control. It is the man who hears her without absorbing her storm, who listens without losing himself. When she speaks, you do not interrupt with advice. You do not reach for solutions. You say, "That sounds frustrating. Tell me more." Not to comfort, not to impress, but to prove that her chaos does not shake your frame. You create a space where she can feel without, managing your reaction where she can be vulnerable without triggering weakness in you. That space is rare. And women, do not forget the men who can hold it. This is not being cold. This is being immovable. Because if you cannot regulate yourself, you cannot anchor her. And if you cannot anchor her, you are not her man. You are just another weight she has to carry. Psychological personalization, emotional gap number 5. Psychological personalization. This is where most men are eliminated. Not because they lack effort, but because they treat women like categories, not as individual psychological codes. The 5th and final gap is personalization, not in words, but in perception. You do not lead with charm. You lead with awareness. Not all women are the same. Some are fueled by validation. Some chase uncertainty. Others are triggered by competition. Your job is not to guess. Your job is to observe. She constantly asks how she looks, needs reassurance, wants confirmation before decisions. Her dominant gap is validation. You manage compliments like currency, not like confetti. She demands constant clarity, frustrated when you do not reply quickly. She asks about your plans, your past, your thoughts. Her dominant gap is uncertainty. You maintain the 30% shadow, never fully shown, never fully explained. She brings up other women, asks about your exes, gets jealous without cause. Her dominant gap is competition. You let her feel chosen, but never to secure. This is not about manipulation. This is about precision. You do not apply one formula to every woman. That is what boys do. You learn her system, her blueprint, her emotional fingerprint. Every woman has her own architecture, a private history, a set of fears and strengths she may never speak of, but always acts from. You want the ethical edge? Here it is. You do not exploit these gaps. You understand them, and in doing so, you connect deeper than any man before you. Her need for validation came from early wounds. You do not shame her for it. You help her feel seen without becoming her servant. Her need for certainty came from broken promises. You do not weaponize it. You give her stability without losing your unpredictability. These gaps are not flaws. They are human design. They are pressure points of the psyche. And when you understand them, you lead without ever raising your hand. Not by control, but by comprehension. Not the man who bends her, but the man who understands her so precisely, so deeply, that he becomes the only place she can rest without explanation. And when that happens, you do not just attract her. You own space in her mind she did not know existed. You do not just win her heart. You conquer the part of her that she guards from the world. The part no man has ever earned access to. That is not romance. That is architecture. The beginning. But this is only the beginning. Power without principle burns fast. These tools, validation, uncertainty, competition, emotional anchoring, personalization, are useless in the hands of a man who has no center because she will feel it and she will vanish. You want power, then earn it, build it, live it. Do not just study her psychology, refine your own, because the man who understands her better than she understands herself must first master the battlefield inside his own head. The 5 gaps, final recap: validation, the chemical addiction; uncertainty, the paradox she craves; competition, the instinct she hides; emotional leadership, the anchor she searches for; psychological personalization, the code only the elite decode. These are unfair advantages, but only to the man who deserves them. Challenge: pick one. Master it for 7 days. Not halfway, completely. Watch how she shifts, how she responds, how the entire dynamic bends around you without a single word raised. The men she obeys are not louder. They are just quieter and far more aware. If you understood this, you are no longer part of the average. You are dangerous.